Be the change you wish to see in the world. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Strength does not come from physical capacity. It comes from an indomitable will. An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Live as if you would die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. In a gentle way, you can shake the world. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. The future depends on what you do today. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Where there is love, there is life. To give pleasure to a single heart by a single act is better than 1,000 heads bowing in prayer. It is health that is real wealth, and not pieces of gold and silver. The greatness of humanity is not in being human, but in being humane. You may never know what results come of your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no results. Action expresses priorities. Freedom is not worth having if it does not include the freedom to make mistakes. The difference between what we do and what we are capable of doing would suffice to solve most of the world's problems. It's easy to stand with the crowd, but it takes courage to stand alone. The real ornament of a woman is her character, her purity. A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. You must not lose faith in humanity. Humanity is an ocean. If a few drops of the ocean are dirty, the ocean does not become dirty. There is no path to peace. Peace is the path. The good man is a friend of all living things. Service without humility is selfishness and egotism. The only tyrant I accept in this world is the still small voice within me. A coward is incapable of exhibiting love. It is the prerogative of the brave. Nonviolence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind. A nation's culture resides in the hearts and in the soul of its people. There is more to life than increasing its speed. Truth never damages a cause that is just. It is unwise to be too sure of one's own wisdom. The essence of all religions is one, only their approaches are different. Faith is not something to grasp. It is a state to grow into. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Silence becomes cowardice when occasion demands speaking out the whole truth and acting accordingly. You must be the change you want to see in the world. To believe in something and not to live it is dishonest. The true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members. An ounce of practice is worth more than tons of preaching. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. A leader is useless when he acts against the promptings of his own conscience. Freedom is not worth having if it does not connote freedom to err. The simplest acts of kindness are by far more powerful than 1,000 heads bowing in prayer. There is a higher court than courts of justice, and that is the court of conscience. A customer is the most important visitor on our premises. Man often becomes what he believes himself to be. Our greatest ability as humans is not to change the world, but to change ourselves. You can chain me, you can torture me, you can even destroy this body, but you will never imprison my mind. Nonviolence requires a double faith, faith in God and also faith in man. In matters of conscience, the law of the majority has no place. A no uttered from the deepest conviction is better than a yes merely uttered to please. Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed. Whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important that you do it. There is no God higher than truth. I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary. The evil it does is permanent. You may never know what results come of your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no result. There is a sufficiency in the world for man's need, but not for man's greed. To call woman the weaker sex is a libel. There is nothing that wastes a body like worry. To forget how to dig the earth and to tend the soil is to forget ourselves. In doing something, do it with love or never do it at all. Fear has its use, but cowardice has none. Anger and intolerance are the enemies of correct understanding. Intolerance betrays want of faith in one's cause. The difference between what we are doing and what we are capable of doing would solve most of the world's problems. All compromise is based on give and take, but there can be no give and take on fundamentals. The law of love could be best understood and learned through little children. A small body of determined spirits fired by an unquenchable faith in their mission can alter the course of history. You don't know who is important to you until you actually lose them. Live simply so that others may simply live. You cannot shake hands with a clenched fist. Service which is rendered without joy helps neither the servant nor the served. Prayer is not asking, it is a longing of the soul. Even if you are a minority of one, the truth is the truth. I believe in equality for everyone, except reporters and photographers. We must become the change we wish to see. It is the action, not the fruit of the action, that is important. Fear is not a disease of the body. It is a mind. My life is my message. Anger and intolerance are the twin enemies of correct understanding. Live simply so others may simply live. Continue this pattern with varied interpretations of Gandhi's messages to complete the list. Truth is by nature self-evident. As soon as you remove the cobwebs of ignorance, it shines clear. Strength does not come from winning. It comes from the struggles you face. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. A small body of determined spirits can move the world. The greatness of a nation can be judged by how it treats its weakest members. The real beauty is in living a simple life. There is a force in the universe, which, if we permit it, will flow through us and produce miraculous results. If we are to reach real peace, we must begin with the children. There is no school equal to a decent home, and no teacher equal to a virtuous parent. Action is more important than results. Without action, there can be no progress. Power based on love is 1,000 times more effective and permanent than power gained through fear. Nonviolence is the greatest weapon available to humanity. A person's true wealth is the good they do in this world. Our ability to reach unity in diversity will be the beauty and the test of our civilization. Non-cooperation with evil is as much a duty as cooperation with good. You don't have to wait for others to act. Start with yourself. The path is the goal. Purity of mind and body is the key to a peaceful life. True morality consists not in following the beaten track, but in finding out the true path for oneself. Live your beliefs, and you can turn the world around. God has no religion. The enemy is fear. We think it is hate, but it is fear. The best way to deal with life's challenges is to face them head-on. Victory is not in the winning, but in rising every time you fall. It is better to be truthful and fail than to lie and succeed. Nonviolence means the greatest love and the greatest courage. Relationships are based on 4 principles: respect, understanding, acceptance, and appreciation. To find peace, we must first cultivate peace within ourselves. Fearlessness is the first requisite of spirituality. It is better to allow our lives to speak for us than to explain them. Peace begins with a smile. Service is the rent we pay for the privilege of living on this earth. The only way to live is to let others live. True happiness is not found in material things, but in living a life of purpose. The strength of a nation lies in the homes of its people. The measure of a person is not how they handle their successes, but how they deal with adversity. Compassion and kindness are the keys to a harmonious society. To do what is right, even when no one is watching, is true integrity. To do what is right, even when no one is watching, is true integrity. The greatest power you can possess is self-control. Education should draw out the best in a person, not fill them with facts. We should learn to serve, not just to achieve. There is no shortcut to greatness. Only through perseverance can we reach our potential. A loving heart is the beginning of all knowledge. It is the quality of our work that will please God, not the quantity. The pursuit of truth does not permit violence on one's opponent. True art lies in living simply and purely. Faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. Truth stands even if there be no public support. Wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, science without humanity, politics without principle, these are deadly sins. A truly rich man is one whose needs are the least. To lose patience is to lose the battle. The most effective way to destroy a people is to deny and obliterate their understanding of their own history. The harder the struggle, the more glorious the triumph. A clear conscience is the softest pillow. An unjust law is itself a species of violence. Nothing has saddened me so much in life as the hardness of heart of educated people. All humanity is one undivided and indivisible family. Each night, when I go to sleep, I die, and the next morning, when I wake up, I am reborn. Faith is a battle, and sometimes you have to go through a storm to reach the calm. Love is the strongest force the world possesses, yet it is the humblest imaginable. Anger is the enemy of nonviolence, and pride is a monster that swallows it up. There is no greater truth than love. A life of sacrifice is the pinnacle of humanity. The world has enough for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. The moral progress of a nation is judged by the way it treats its animals. The simplest acts of kindness are far more powerful than 1,000 heads bowing in prayer. True joy lies in the act of giving, not receiving. Our life is a long and arduous quest after truth. The only way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Strength does not come from physical ability, but from an indomitable will. Always aim for complete harmony of thought, word, and deed. The goal of life is not to accumulate wealth, but to find meaning and purpose. To forgive is the highest, most beautiful form of love. The simplest things can bring the greatest happiness. A peaceful heart is the key to a peaceful mind. Nonviolence is not just a tactic, it is a way of life. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. There is no greater satisfaction than living a life of service. Without action, you aren't going anywhere. The best way to heal the world is to begin with ourselves. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The power of love is greater than the power of hate. There is no greater beauty than the beauty of a pure heart. In the fight for equality, we must remember that we are all human. When you are right, you have no need to be angry. Truth and love are two sides of the same coin. The first step to solving any problem is to understand the root cause. A life of simplicity is the path to true happiness. The best way to find peace is to seek it within yourself.